I guess it's been quite a difficult few weeks really for us in particular. There's been some real challenges with many of our clients actually, and it got me thinking as to what the themes are and what it is that could be happening out there that's causing so many agencies to suffer lately. It's been well documented that some quite well renowned and well respected sizable agencies in the area won't be with us for much longer because they'll be closing the doors, and I've been dealing with some of those cases. And I think when I've reflected on it, the words digital creative agency didn't really exist 20 years ago, and the industry is starting to get a little bit more maturity now. 5 or 10 years ago, if you had digital or design skills, you were in demand because of the basic principles of supply and demand, and there weren't many businesses in the sector. So if you had that skill set, you kind of had the opportunity to earn a living. Only 5 or 10 years on, and that's quickly changed with the vast amount of competition in the industry, the number of agencies popping up, and also I guess the talented people that 5 or 10 years ago were maybe coming through the ranks are now starting to leave and compete and freelance and everything else, and that's driving price competition. And if you're competing on price, it's like the hardest way to compete. So what Michael's going to be talking about today is something that's really close to my heart and which I believe will be so important to you all over the coming years, more important than it's ever been before, which is about how you can create something that's unique and differentiates yourself from everyone else in the market to give you the opportunity to compete on the value that you give to clients and the difference you're able to give to your clients, as opposed to just being cheaper than the guy down the road. And it's a really important concept. So I just wanted to do a few slides first on some pricing strategies, just to get everyone kind of, I guess, motivated to at least be thinking about pricing. When you run any business, the way that you grow it is to get more clients, or to do more for your existing clients, or to increase your prices. And as business owners, our default is often, when we wake up in the morning, we think about growing our business, it's how can we get more clients. Every now and again, we might start thinking about how we can give more to our existing clients, but there's often very little thought that goes into pricing. And I think the reason that happens is because we think of things in the context of where we are now, and that maybe we've had a few proposals recently where people have rejected us on price, and it causes us to shrink and limit ourselves in terms of what we can achieve. But pricing is the most powerful way to grow your agency. You've probably seen many of your variations of these graphs before, but it just shows the impacts of what would happen if you were to increase or decrease your prices. So on the left, we're looking at a business with a 30% profit margin. So for every £100 of revenue, you earn £30 profit. It's a 30% profit business. And what it shows is the effects of deciding to reduce your prices by 10%. And I believe that, unfortunately, a lot of businesses in this sector are going to fall foul of this if they react to the constant pressures by reducing the prices. But the impact of just a 10% decrease on your top line revenue is a whopping 33% on your profits if you're making that level of profit. If you're a 20% profit business, by the way, that figure in the middle is 50%. So if you make 20% at the moment, you reduce your price by 10%, the effect on your bottom line is 50%. I'm not going to go too much into maths tonight. This is not a maths lesson. If you want to talk about that, then maybe later or tomorrow when we're not drinking. And then at the end, the reverse is that if you can increase your prices by 10%, that's 33% on your bottom line. There's no other way of doing this and growing your business, because if you take on more clients or more services, you just got a bigger business, but you're not improving your margins. If we look at that then in context of £1 million agency, what that means is that 10% increase, if you're able to keep all of your clients, takes you from being a £300,000 profit business to a £400,000 profit business. So there's a 33% increase, and it's 100 grand on your bottom line. Now, people's instant reaction to this or objection to this is, but I'll lose clients. I'll lose some clients. If I increase my prices, my clients won't go for it, they'll hate it. And there might be an element of truth in there. There might be clients that are price sensitive, and they're probably the clients that cause you the most grief, that challenge you the most, that require most of your time. And if they're not willing to accept a 10% increase in your prices, there's probably a mismatch in terms of the value that they're getting from you. So what you find is that your best clients stay, and your worst clients go, and you might have a lower turnover on the right hand side. So that means having Friday off, doing 17 to 18% less work and earning the same profit, or in the middle, earning more profit for doing the same work. And people talk about whether they should price based on time or whether they should price based on value or on outcomes. And for me, you should always be looking at how you can price based on outcomes. Because when you price on time, what you're really saying to your clients is the slower we are and the longer we take, the more you're going to pay us. And if we do it quicker, we're going to get paid less. And that just doesn't quite tie up. You also put a limit on how profitable you can be, because we all have an indicator in our head in terms of how much we're willing to pay for an hour of someone's time. But when it comes to outcomes, if you're achieving outcomes for me, if you as an agency came to me and you could prove that you're going to achieve certain outcomes, I'm going to pay a lot more for that than I would do just to get your time. So then the question becomes, well, what about, do I not need to track time? If I'm not charging my clients for my time, do I need to track time? And the answer is yes, because ultimately, as a service business, your biggest cost is your people, and you need to understand where the margins are that you make. So still track time and understand it for profitability, but that's not how you want to be pricing. So examples of outcomes, we would all love it to be something that's very tangible and very proven, like how many leads we can generate for our clients, but it's not always as easy as that. Sometimes it is, and that's why it's okay reading the textbooks about all this stuff about pricing. We all know what we want to achieve, but it's not always so easy in the real world, and you need to think about the services that you can deliver to your clients and how you can productize those to and the pricing is part of that. How can you price them at the same time to maximum effect? But if you can't do that, it might just be something like the deliverables that you're able to achieve. So when you do it this way, when you price based on outcomes, you effectively control your own profitability, not the market. If you're pricing based on time, the market drives the cost, but if you're priced based on deliverables, you're in control of your own profitability because you can do it quicker, but you're still going to get the same fee at the end of it. Got a quick example there. So typically a business will think like this. If I charge £100 per hour for 100 hours, that's a £10,000 project. That's the same as charging £125 an hour. For 80 hours, it's £10,000. So the rate per hour is not everything, because if you're quicker than your competitors, then you're still able to achieve the same results, but in less time. I tried to think of the best example I could come up with. Obviously, I understand the agency world really well, but I understand my own business even better. So as an accountancy firm owner, if an agency came to me and offered me something like this is what I would be willing to pay a premium for. To get your page 1 on Google for digital agency accountants, because that's all we do. Create an ebook for you. Stop growing your agency, which obviously I would be involved in writing and have been. Create a webinar along the same topic. Build a tool that enables your clients to understand how they can maximize the profit, what prices they should charge. Build some Facebook ads for you and post them over a 4-week period. Social posts over Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter and Instagram. Nurturing sequence built in a CRM for 6 weeks of email follow-up. Provide a list of leads to you so you or your sales team can follow up with those leads. And send digital roundtable invites to all the people that have subscribed to the ebook. Now, I've put a price there of £15,000. If somebody had offered me £10,000 and I get 100 hours of their time, that means nothing to me. It feels like I'm taking all the risk because I'm just paying for time and I don't know what I'm going to get out of that. I would much rather invest more and understand the outcomes, and none of that is you putting your body on the line saying we're going to deliver X number of leads. Not anywhere there have I guarantee that you're going to get me a number of leads. It's up to me to turn those leads into clients, but at least I know what you're going to achieve and I can hold you accountable to ticking off each of those things. So it's much more, in my mind, much less risk for me. And then at the bottom I put a guarantee, which is optional. So if you got really good at this and you only served accountants and you got to the point where you're so confident that you will be able to generate leads from this, then you could put a guarantee on like, we'll generate 40 leads or get your money back. But you don't have to start at that point. Everything above there is still far more compelling than me paying for your time. So a final question which is going to tie in with Michael's talk is, which business do you want? Do you want one that competes on price, where you look the same as your competitors and you're constantly in a fight about how long things should take? You put a limit on your profit margins because we're only willing to pay for a certain rate per hour? Or do you want one where you and your clients have full transparency and understanding in terms of what you're going to deliver, and you're able to deliver exceptional results and receive exceptional value back? The only way you can do that is if you're better than your competitors and you create a strategy that gives you the right to be able to charge more than the market. Over to you, Michael.
Scores on the doors. What was that program? What was it called? Yeah. Very good. You just shake your head next. Can you hear me? Okay, everybody. Can you hear me at the back? Yeah. Good. Good. This is a bit scary. This space is just unbelievable. Congratulations on it. It's just absolutely wow. It's just beautiful. I put a bit of fish out of water, really, because you don't normally find solicitors or ex-solicitors in a space like this, so I'm not really quite sure what to do. Anyway, it's amazing. I'm not here as a trainer. I'm not a trainer. I'm not somebody who, I've not taken this presentation with me around the country, like talking to various people about the same old thing. I'm not here to train. I don't train. I'm a businessman. I'm a businessman. I run my own law firm, so I'm also a lawyer. Happen to be a businessman, and I run my own law firm for some 25 years, and I strategized. To plot my exit from this law firm, and in my case, my exit strategy, if you like, was to pass the firm on to my junior partners, which is what I did when the time was right. I also happened to work as clients with a number of SMEs. SMEs were my clients, and some of those, in fact, were digital marketing companies. And also, by the way, I used digital marketing companies to help the firm grow. So this is a sector that I know very well and I'm very interested in. It's changed a lot over the last 25 years. I can tell you that. One of my clients, I'm very proud of one of my clients. They grew their business over 5 years. This is a client that was a digital marketing company. And they sold it for 16 million. Okay, and we acted for them and we plotted all that for them. And the owner of that business he's a serial entrepreneur. He's started up again and has got a new business. He's doing exactly the same. And he'll probably sell this one for 30 million, who knows. So the thing is, it can be done. Let's see if this works. Oh yeah. One of the thoughts I think that successful entrepreneurs have is that it's always great to start with a clean sheet of paper or a clean screen. Start with nothing. stop, 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 stop. That's what I did. And I got my desk, cleared all the files off, get a blank sheet of paper, and write on it, where am I now? Where do I want to get to? What obstacles am I facing along the way? And what is there to help me? That's the strategy. Okay, bye. That's it. But honestly, there is no magic. You will have the answers within yourselves. And
Can you say those again, Michael? Sorry, just those key things there. So all those. Where are you now?
Where are you now? Where are you going? What obstacles are there along the way? And what tide is there to help swoop you in the right direction? What trends are there that are going to help you get in the right direction? Part of that starts with, why the hell am I getting out of bed in the morning to do this bloody job? I feel I can swear here. Is that all right? Yeah, I wouldn't do that normally. Is that okay? Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Okay. Good. Right. So, some of you, or most of you, will be familiar with Simon Sinek's The Power of Why. Is anybody not familiar with it? Or who's heard of it? Who's seen it? Okay, most of you, a lot of you. If you've not seen it, for God's sake, have a look at it. It's quite old now. It's quite trite. It's hardly sort of like breaking new ground at all. It's been around for God knows how long, 10 years or so. But a lot of these things, really pack a punch. And when I saw this, I was, can I say blown away? I suppose I can say blown away here, can't I? I was blown away by this, because what Simon Sinek teaches is it starts with you. Why is it that you wanted to start your own business? Why does your business exist? What is it that your business, your agency, is here to achieve for your clients that all your competitors cannot do? What is it? There must be something. So he tells the story, Simon Sinek, about why Apple, is different. Apple was just a computer firm, it just sells computers. But everyone believes in Apple. They believe in the why Apple exists. They believe in, Apple want to push the boundaries. They want to create new products. They want to be innovative all the time. They want to create things that look good. There's loads of beliefs that Apple have, Steve Jobs had when he set up Apple. And now you don't just buy computers from them. When you go into the Apple store, what else can you sell? This, buy everything. Headphones, phones. They never started out to sell phones. Music, everything. Because people believe in Apple. So do people believe in us? Do you believe in you? Because, if you don't believe in you, forget it. I once asked a group of lawyers, my contacts, how many of you have made a will? I think about 3 put their hands up. Why be a lawyer if you haven't made a will yourself? You've got to believe in what you do, right? So, I had, running my own law firm, I said I used digital marketing agencies. I also used, I used other law firms. And, I haven't got time to tell you the story about my experience with one particular firm that I used once, but suffice it to say, it was a very big Manchester commercial city centre firm, and I was not happy at all. And that was very early on. I must have been 30. I set my firm up when I was 32, I think. And what I thought is, you know what? I love proactivity. I love people who are proactive. And I hate reactivity. And that was my why. That's why I wanted to set up my own separate law firm. I wanted to have a law firm that believed in proactivity and they detested reactivity. Okay, so now we're getting into some really boring stuff. That is a SWOT analysis. But just to make it a bit more interesting, I've turned it into a SWOT analysis. I've taken out the opportunities and threats and turned them into trends. I think they're much more interesting and it's more of a positive message, really. What trends are happening in your industry that are hopefully going to help you on your journey, that you can jump on? What trends are there in your industry that are going to stop you doing what you're doing? They're going to stop you in your tracks. Have you got a list of them somewhere? If you haven't, that's one action point for you right now. What are your strengths? Now we're starting. Introduction. Paul couldn't have given me a nicer introduction because strengths are your core competencies. If you have worked out how to do something that your opponents do not know how to do, you can bloody well charge for that. You can put your prices up. You should put your prices up. So how do you work on your strengths to obtain a more profitable business? Weaknesses, of course there are weaknesses. What are they? What constraints are there? And how are you going to prioritize them? Okay? You've got to do this, I'm sorry. It's very boring. But, I mean, do you all have, who doesn't have a SWOT analysis? 2 out of the whole room. That's fantastic. When did you last look at the SWOT analysis? That's probably a more difficult question, because this has to be kept up to date. You know, I used to have it on my agenda for my board meeting every month, right? Every month. SWOT. Okay? It's got to be there.
I know this should be flow, sorry, but I think like a SWOT analysis for me, historically, before I met you, it's kind of one of them academic things that you get taught and you do it, and then it's an exercise and then file away and never do anything with it. And I know what you're great at is ensuring that those actions and things actually happen on the back of that. So once they've done that, what kind of tip would you give to use it?
I'll show you. It's going to go into your actions plan. But it's a living, breathing, this SWOT analysis needs to be dog-eared if it's still a piece of paper. If it's on your computer, it needs to, I don't know what it would do. Fading on the computer? Not sure. James, what would I do with this SWOT analysis? I would put it into a vision statement, James, like this one. So, can you see that? Right, you had strategy. This is your strategy. I'm going to talk about vision statement afterwards. I would put it in your strategy document. This is your strategy document. And you did kibosh me then, mister. It's okay. You want your strategy document. This here is meant to represent layers of strategy. These lines each represent a layer of your strategy. It's like a pyramid, layer by layer by layer. They're the building blocks of your strategy. They are the bumpers that keep the bowl in play. I haven't got time to go through them all now, but it comes down to what are your differentiating factors? What are your differentiating activities? What are you doing? What have you worked out how to do that nobody else has worked out how to do? Right? I've touched on one phase strategy. Your pizza back within half an hour, your money back, for example. Safety, I've touched on it. But this, I've touched on words you own, because obviously safety is a word you own. You can't read a page from Volvo's website without seeing the word safety. But differentiating factors, this is what I want you to really think about, because that is your X factor. You can charge for those. You can charge more for those than you can charge for anything else. So what are they? And what profit can you make per each differentiating factor? Apologies for this. BHAG, it's a horrible American phrase. Big, hairy, audacious girl. Sorry, it's horrible. The Americans use it, but why not? Why not? Let's use it. I used to detest it, but I've changed my mind. Let's use it. Let's have a big, hairy, audacious goal, because all your staff can buy into that. What should that be? That's the pins at the end of that bowling alley. What should that be? Who are your main competitors? Because if I were you, my big, hairy, audacious goal would be to knock my number one competitor off its perch and replace it with your company within 5 to 10 years. That would be an example of my big, hairy, audacious goal. Once you've got that set, all you have to do then is work out how you're going to do it. And you will do it. You will do it. The guy who sold his business for 16 million, he did that. He knew exactly what his big, hairy, audacious goal was. So if you don't like that, call it Everest. But if you don't mind big, hairy, audacious goal, call it that. But have one. I just wanted to demonstrate to you how core competencies can rocket your business. We all know that BIC sell plastic pens, but their core competency was to how to make disposable plastic anythings and distribute it on the mass consumer market. Once they'd worked that out, they decided, we don't have to sell pens, we can also, so let's go back. We won't just sell pens, we can make disposable lighters, we can make disposable razors, they can make disposable anything. So what's your core competency, and how could you use that to scale your business? Once you start thinking in that way, it's very interesting what will happen. Core competencies are not to be confused with core values. Who has core values in your business? Some of you. Do you look at them? Do, great. These are some examples of Sony's core values, Disney's core values. Disney, you won't be surprised. Creativity, dreams, imagination. You know, lovely. In the real world, in terms of your companies, what are your core values? Mine came from the reason why I went into the business of having my own law firm in the first place. The core value that I inculcated in my law firm was very simple. We will call you, Mr. Client, before you even dream of calling us, every single time. That was something we did every time. Core value. What do you do all the time? Core values can also be things that we don't do. We do not use the word firefighting. We do not use the word unfortunately, ever. We do call you before you even think about calling us. It's amazing what you can do with something like that. And I know that that worked because I was a client myself and I knew what it was like to be left worrying over the weekend about a particular case, about whether we'd had exchange on contracts, whether I was going to be sued about something. Why would you keep your clients waiting? You've got clients who might be waiting for something. A simple call, 4:30. Hi Michael, you know that piece of litigation, the defence hasn't come through, but don't worry, I'm expecting it on Monday morning. I've spoken to my counterpart, he's confirmed it's going to be there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ring you up at 9:15 on Monday morning, please don't be worrying about it over the weekend. So we're now starting to move away from strategy and moving into doing it. The heart is you, the owner of the business. You are the company's beating heart, and you're going to create a rhythm in your businesses so that every quarter you have a theme. You have something that you're going to do to move your business one step further towards where it needs to get to. Every month, every individual in your business will have a goal, knowing what he or she has to achieve in order to meet that quarterly target. And it will have that at the beginning of the month. I never gave it to the end of the month. What's the point of that? Oh, you've not hit target. Oh dear. No. May the 1st, what's your target for this month? £20,000 worth of turnover. How are you going to do it? Blah, 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 blah. Not are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? Particularly by reference to existing clients, by the way. Every week on a Monday, what have we got to do this week to achieve our targets in the month? Every week on a Friday, this is what you guys are great at. You do it better than anybody else. A beer, lovely. Let's have a beer before we go home and let's talk about what we've achieved this week and what we have to achieve next week. And if you've achieved your goals, if you've achieved your targets, get the champagne out. Celebrate it. So this is what I describe as the vision document. This is what sets the pace. This is what you create, and this is what you give to each of your individuals to show them what he or she has to achieve in that quarter to get your business one step further towards that BHAG. So there's your BHAG. We talked about core values. Your conversations will be so much shorter if you refer them to core values. The client complains, he's not heard from me. He's not complained, he's not heard from you. No, I'm sorry, let's pretend it's James. James, what's our core value? Our core value is ringing. Is there anything else to say? No, there isn't. Right, end of conversation. What's our purpose? We talked about. What's our brand purpose? What's going to happen in the next 3 to 5 years? What's going to happen next year? What's going to happen this quarter? And this is you. This is your employee. What's his KPIs? What are his priorities? How is he going to do it? How is he going to make this happen? On a Monday morning, everyone comes in after the weekend. They're talking about sport, who's on top of the league. I'm not a great football. I better not say too much. I'm not a great football fanatic or expert. So whatever I say will probably sound stupid. But is it United at the top? Is it City? Whatever. Why do people always talk about sport on a Monday morning when they get into the office after the weekend? Why? Because it's got a finishing line. A race has a finishing line. And I realised that, that's what you need to do. You need to show your people the finishing line. Like that. And they need to understand where that line is, and they're all competing to get there first. It's fantastic. And then when everybody comes in the morning, Monday morning, okay, they'll talk about football, but they'll also talk about this race. Where are we up to? Who's going to hit that line first? Very powerful. It works. I encourage everyone to have whiteboards or to have stuff on their computer which shows the bar and shows where you are in relation to that bar, whatever it might be, particularly for the quarter. This is my minutes of a board meeting. Who, what, and when. Simple, nothing else. Please don't write long minutes from a board meeting. Please do make a record of who is doing what and when. And make sure that you visit that throughout the whole time between that board meeting and the next board meeting. Do not be one of these companies that don't succeed, that spend half the board meeting looking over what's not been done from the month before. That will stop that happening. And you can see I've got 4 headings there. Finance, generating cash, what you're doing this quarter, what your people doing, strategy, look at the SWOT analysis. So this is how to get your people aligned. This is a very simple example of what might be a job description or an appraisal template. Notice that you've got core values there. This will help you when you recruit people, when you onboard people, when you appraise people, when you exit people. Core values have to be there. Don't recruit a smart ass if you're not looking for one, okay? So you need to know the kind of people you want in your organisation. This starts to take us back to Paul's comments. Why would you talk about finance and cash whilst talking about strategy? And the answer is because if you got your strategy right, you are selling something that your competitors cannot deliver. Whatever that might be, it can be very subtle. It can be unique to you. It can be unique to your people. It doesn't have to be rocket science. It doesn't have to be patented. It could be simply that you're better than your competitors or ringing up the clients before they ring you, or better using your software. Could be anything. But what I've understood, what I learned, is that these bars on this bar chart could represent a number of things. If you have a number of offices, they could each represent an office. If you have a number of services, most likely that's what they would represent. You can have a number of services. If you have a number of salespeople, they could represent salespeople. But the point is, the ones on the left of the graph are making massive profits. This one is making a small profit. Happy days, you might think. I would say to you, no, not happy days. Because whilst it is generating profit, it is most likely leaking you cash. It is most likely leaking you cash. Again, I'm full of trite stuff today. Profit is vanity. No, turnover is vanity, profit is sanity, but cash is king, right? This is how you make sure that you keep on top of cash. How many businesses do stuff at a loss? They have services which they sell at a loss. Oh, but we've got to do that because our clients expect it, blah, blah, blah. If you're making a loss, put your prices up so that you're not making a loss. This part of this company's business is pulling it down. I see it all the time. So the strategy does involve cash. Put your prices up. Go to Paul and look and see how you can increase your prices. Look how you can move your business in that direction. Another trite thing, Pareto's law. You've all heard of the 80-20 rule. You can probably, most likely, not probably, definitely get rid you most likely get 80% of your profit from 20% of your clients. Pareto's law. Right, that's trite, everyone knows that. So why do we still keep the other 80%? Anybody? I don't know. We do. We have to be brave. Get rid of those 80%. Nurture the 20%. Hone your strategic advantage. Because those 20% who are giving you the highest profit, they know what your strategic advantage is. Oh, sorry, wrong one. So I'm very nearly finished now, so I'm getting to the end of this. This takes us right back neatly to what Paul was talking about. On the left, you have 7 drivers of cash. Number one way to increase your cash is to put your prices up. The number one way. How can you put your prices up? The only way you can put your prices up is if you have a strategy and you make that strategy happen by reference to specifically your core competencies. I will mention the other item I put in bold there, I've highlighted, age debt. You should not have any age debt. If you do, it will affect your cash flow, yes. But just one thing on age debt. If you have got a truly differentiating agency, you want clients who are achieving a number of things for you. Number one, they're paying you by return because they're so pleased with your service. Number 2, they're saying thank you very much, a fantastic job. Number 3, they're saying, by the way, what else can you do for us? Because we love what you did on this particular project. Number 4, who can we refer to you? I know X, would you mind if I refer him to you? That's what you want from your clients. So if you've got age debt, that's not great. Age debt is such a, if you were buying your business, age debt is the first thing you would look at. It's such a powerful KPI. And I can't pass on that slide without mentioning it. What are you going to do? When are you going to do it? Chat amongst yourselves after this. Talk about that. Go back when you get home, get a blank sheet of paper, write down what you're going to do, when you're going to do it. And may the best man win. That's it. Thank you very much. Thank you.